Director, did it take a constitutional amendment for the Census Bureau to be able to ask Americans whether you rent your home or own your home? Mr.
No.
Connolly said you can't ask if they're a citizen unless we change the Constitution. I understand the Constitution says you got to count persons, and that's what you do. But you ask a lot of other things. You find out a lot of other information. Rent your home. Do you own your home? You ask if they're deaf or if they're blind in this community, American Community Service that comes from the Census Bureau. You ask if they got any mental illness. So you can do that, but you can't ask sort of the fundamental question that applies to how we apportion seats for the United States Congress, whether you're a citizen or not. You can't do that.
We can do whatever we need to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, according to the whatever the.
We just need to tell you to do that, but Democrats don't want to do that, do they? Somebody doesn't want to do. We want you to find out how many citizens. We want you to find out how many persons are in the country because that's what the Constitution says. And then we passed legislation on this committee. We want you to also ask the question: how many people, how many citizens are there in the country? Are you opposed to doing that?
I am opposed to not providing Congress with the information that it needs.
I understand.
To make
I'm asking, do you think it's a good idea for Congress, we're the policymakers, to put on the survey, on the census, asking that question: are you a citizen or not?
We will do whatever the mandates
I'm asking
are.
your opinion. You're the guy who does it. What do you think? You think that'd be good for us to do?
I think that we would need to take a very careful look because there is evidence that adding a citizenship question to the decennial census would dampen participation.
Is there any evidence when you ask an American citizen, if we ask you if you got a mental illness, that might discourage participation? Did you get any evidence on that?
That is part of the American Community Survey, and we ask it, and we get great participation in that.
So you can ask people whether they've got a mental problem, but you can't ask whether they're a citizen or not. And that's the mental problem. That's going to be fine. They're gonna participate.
In fact, we ask citizenship in the American Community Survey.
Oh, then why don't you do it in the main one then?
Well, I think we have a responsibility to making sure we understand the risks and benefits of adding any question to the decennial census. In this case, in the case of the citizenship question, there would be a risk of exacerbating undercounts due to dampened self-response, while at the same time, richer data, more valuable data exists with the American Community Survey when you combine citizenship question with all these other socioeconomic variables where the geography, you can get estimates down to a relatively small geographic area.
You think by not asking that in any way impacts how the congressional seats are in fact apportioned around the country? Do you think there's an impact by not knowing specifically the citizens in respective areas? Do you think that there's an impact there?
Yeah, I think I missed the point of the question, please.
Do you think by not having that information that districts can be apportioned to the respective states in a way that doesn't reflect actual citizenship in those states?
I don't have an opinion other than to say we're obliged to count everyone, provide the counts to the president, who gives it to Congress. And it's a policy decision then for Congress to decide how to redistrict, how to use those numbers.
My guess is you go talk to most people on the street, you go talk to people who live in the 4th District of Ohio and say, do you think we should ask on the census how many people, if you're a citizen of this country? I think most people would say, well, yeah, aren't we doing that already? Most Americans, I think that's sort of, and the fact that we're not, they think, well, that's just the dumbest thing in the world. So I think that's just sort of common sense, and yet we have this big push against doing it, which surprises me because we can do both. It's not an either or, as Mr. Connolly tried to frame it. We can ask do exactly what the Constitution says, find out how many people are in the country. But I don't know why we can't find out how many of those people are actually citizens of this great country. I just don't get that. And again, I think you talk to any American anywhere, and they're going to like, yeah, I don't know why aren't we doing that already? And you guys are like, no, we don't think we should do that, even though we can ask what you drive to work, how much you work, are you getting welfare, do you work for the government, don't you work for the government, do you got a mental illness, are you deaf, are you blind, what's your race, what's your sex? You can ask all those questions, but the one question that might, let's just say might, have an impact on how we apportion congressional seats, we can't ask that one. Oh, that seems stupid. I yield back.